Are you ready?
Yes.
All right, in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the vodcast. Welcome to the broadcast. Welcome to the podcast. I think that's right. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the show. I am Nick.
I'm Brian.
And we don't have a Dean this week. Dean is not with us, so we're covering duties. But if this is your first time joining us, we are Convincing Idiots. Typically, we are 3 different friends from 3 different generations talking about all things nerd and pop culture. We can be found on Facebook and YouTube by searching Convincing Idiots. We are also on Instagram at convincing_idiots. We are on Twitter at Convincing Idiot with no S, TikTok at Convincing Idiots, or we can be reached by email at convincingidiots@gmail.com. So, we are here, just a 2-man show this week. We are Deanless. Dean is on the path to helping humanity out by getting his first vaccination today. So he's feeling a little tired. I think he was feeling not sick or anything, just tired, just sleepy. So he's getting some shut-eye, getting that beauty rest. And so we're going to give it our best here, just the 2 of us today. So, Brian, what's new, man? What's going on?
Yeah, just a good weekend, man. Both of us, nice relaxing time with my girlfriend, Allie. Spent some nice time with my daughter, Peyton, as well. And you and I both actually visited the same location, Nick.
We did, yes.
So they're not a sponsor, but we'll call them out anyway. So we're in Northeast Ohio, if you're listening and don't know where we're from. Medina, Ohio is home to a cool new shop out there. I think it just opened in November, Sweets and Geeks. So tons of memorabilia and games, and that one Pokemon guy's there, I think.
Yeah, right.
Nick, yeah.
Yeah, they had the Pokemon there. Yeah, the Pokemon. Yes.
And a lot of retro candy, that I haven't seen since I was a kid, like, wax lips and the soda pop bottles with the mystery liquid in them that you would chew the wax out and drink those for some reason. And
those always eluded me as a kid. I never knew what to, like, as a young child when I'd get those in, like, a Halloween or something. I'm like, what am I eating the bottle? I didn't know what to do with the cap there. So I think there's probably some wax pieces that I ate over the years, unfortunately. But
sure. Absolutely. For me, absolutely. Bubble gum, cigarettes, all kinds of stuff there. So if you're in this area, go check them out. Now, we did pick up actually, Allie got this for me. So if you're just listening to us, it's a Funko Pop Albert Einstein. So Einstein is our logo of our show. Yeah. If you know us a little bit, you probably know that by now. So very cool. So we will incorporate him into our set when we eventually get together sooner than later and do some stuff in the same room when we do our live show or whatever. We'll figure that out very soon. So very cool place. Go check them out.
They like you said, they're not a sponsor or anything, but if there was ever a place, I don't know if there's a place much more perfect to be a sponsor than that place. Not that I'm fishing for that. I'm just saying they sell the types of things that we typically are interested in, and so it's a perfect place for us. So I was really impressed with it. I mean, they've got, you mentioned all the old candy and stuff like that, and then there's a little a half level up there. You go up a couple steps, and on your left, you got all board games and stuff. They had, I don't know if Brian, when you were there, Brian and I were there on different days. I went on Saturday and you were there on Sunday, but on the back wall there, they actually have a space where you can rent board games for $5 for a couple days. I thought that was pretty cool. You try a new game. Yeah, they had all the Funkos and stuff like that. And if you're into card games, whether it be that one Pokemon guy or Magic the Gathering or Dungeons and Dragons or whatever, they've that whole other side's full of cards and people sitting at tables playing those games and stuff like that. Very cool. I was impressed. It was a really nice place, and my kids really enjoyed it as well. So very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a local. I don't think it's a chain. It's a local business trying to make something happen. So, downtown. That's a nice little area over there. Let's make a nice little afternoon. Get some lunch and go check it out. So we had a real nice time over there. And then Saturday, actually, I spent some time, Allie and I, with our missing idiot, Dean. So we were going to go out with him and Megan, but Megan was sick that day. So just the 3 of us went out, had a nice dinner at get another shout out here, the Wolf Creek Tavern over in Norton.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty cool old historic building, and Yeah, it was nice. Like a speakeasy area.
I was just gonna say, I saw some pictures of you guys down there. Mm-hmm. That looked pretty cool.
Yeah, so we'll have to go check it out sometime, all of us. But yeah, that was pretty nice. So, cool. You do anything fun or interesting, or just kind of obviously you went to Sweets and Geeks? Anything else?
Yeah, I went to Sweets and Geeks. I went out with my buddy to Magic City Brewing Company. It was again in the area, in the Akron area here. Had a couple drinks on Saturday. That was fun. Sunday, I don't know what we did Sunday. Maybe I don't know. I didn't do a whole lot, but. Just kind of piddling around the house, doing stuff. The Sweets and Geeks was a big highlight for the kids for the weekend. Walked out of there with some Pokemon cards and a couple plush toys, and got myself a pair of Power Rangers socks. So that was pretty cool. It was pretty fun weekend. Nothing too crazy. Just laid low and did a couple things, popped around. So
very good. Yeah. Not necessarily pop culture, but I did not know, I forgot, didn't even pay attention that Sunday was the NBA All-Star Game. Did you watch any of it at all?
I watched a little bit of the skills competition. Okay. Not much, though. I flipped it on here and there. But this year was weird. Like, I usually, I love the NBA. I think they do a great job of highlighting their superstars and the star quality. And I'm not big on really any necessarily All-Star games, Pro Bowls, whatever. It's the games themselves are... I think something fun maybe when you're a kid or something like that. But once you start watching a sport at a more competitive level, I think the games themselves lose that because it's kind of just for fun. But I do usually enjoy the skills competitions. But this year was weird because I didn't really realize it was happening until a couple weeks ago. I don't think they were planning on having one at all. Is that right?
It was kind of up in the air. They were debating. Some of the players didn't like it, but so they decided to do everything, no fans, in one day. So they did everything on Sunday, all the events.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I'd heard that there was the vibe of the game was more the team LeBron was more seemed to take it more seriously, and then was it. Team Durant was the other one. Kevin Durant was the leader of the other team, I believe.
I think that's right. Yes, that's right.
Yeah. Yep. So, but I mean, I didn't really keep too close of tabs on it. I mean, like I said, this was a weird year for it. It kind of caught me off guard that they were having it, and like you said, a lot of the players seemed like maybe they weren't sure that was the right idea to do that. So, but yeah.
Although Giannis went like 16 for 16, which is. So people said it's hard to do, just shooting baskets in your backyard to make 16 shots in a row. I don't care what you're doing. So that's pretty impressive. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I lost interest in that game over the years with just the utter lack of defense at all. I mean, it was more competitive, I think, in my time. It's just my opinion. It's like an old guy, but in the 80s and 90s.
In my day, when they tried,
Well, they did play deep. It was like a more of a competitive game defensively, but anyhow. So I was just curious if you saw that or not. But all right, okay. Well, so this week we're doing, Nick, just some more pop culture headlines over the past week or so here. Just random riffs here. We'll talk about some stuff, and but then we'll figure out our next themed episode and everything. But this is kind of where we talked about this. This is sort of where we're evolving a little bit more. So we're going to do more of these pop culture headlines, and don't feel as much pressure to come up with a set topic every single week that we're going to focus on. So we'll still do those, work those in as we have interesting topics and everything. So anyway, so the big thing this week, and well, it's not the happy story here, but locally in Northeast Ohio, who Michael Stanley was.
Yes.
He passed away last week of lung cancer at 72. Very popular local musician, the Michael Stanley Band, certainly as we know here in Northeast Ohio. And he's been a DJ for several years after that point. So just a sad note there. I mean, he didn't really make it huge outside of the Northeast Ohio area. What was it? He Can't Love You was probably his biggest song, more nationally, right? Now in the early 80s. But around here, though, you knew who Michael Stanley was. And he was a Cleveland guy, local guy, stayed here, made something of himself here. I think he still has records at Blossom Music Center here in the Northeast Ohio area from attendance years ago with packing people in there. So just sad. And were you familiar with Michael Stanley at all?
Yeah. My parents were big fans of his. I remember when I was younger, them going to his shows and stuff like that. I heard the news Saturday morning, and immediately texted my dad and my mom both, just letting them know if they'd heard and stuff like that. And it was real sad. Personally, I don't know if I don't recall if I've ever. I'm sure I have. I think actually, now that I think of it, I think I'd seen him at. He would play like the Akron Rib Fest and stuff like that.
Probably. Yeah.
He'd headlined a couple of those, and I recall seeing him there. But yeah, just man, good music, like good musician. Lover was my favorite one of his.
That's right.
Michael Stanley bands. I love that song. Nice low tempo song, and then really hits in the chorus. Great song. What was My Town was another big one. It's a kind of an anthem for the area. Everybody plays that around the northeastern Ohio area. I remember we were, I think it was somewhere around, I want to say 2001 maybe, when Aerosmith put out Just Push Play. We went to Blossom to go see them. I was with my mom, and I think Fuel opened up for them. So Fuel was a band that I really liked when I was in middle school and stuff, and we were there, and Michael Stanley was there with the radio station, but was also, signing autographs and stuff. So I did get to meet him there, and I remember being a younger kid, I was familiar with the name, but I didn't know him that well or anything like that. But my mom was all like, "Ooh, you want to go meet Michael Stanley? You want to go meet Michael Stanley?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." But it was really about like my mom wanted to meet Michael Stanley. But very nice guy, and yeah, like you said, just spent his whole career around here. The fact that they never made it that big nationally, it's kind of odd to think about, because being from here and growing up here, you'd never know that. Right. Because the Michael Stanley band was always very popular in this area. So, very sad to hear of his passing. How old was he, Brian? Do you know?
72.
72. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. They released a nice letter to his fans from his estate that he prepared prior, and just thanking his fans. Just a class act. Yeah. I saw him a few years ago at Clay's Park, like a local campground thing. And he put on this is probably, 7 years ago, something like that. But he's put on a great show, and still, very entertaining. And it was a concert in a campground, but that whole band played it as if they were at the Coliseum, you know what I'm saying? So that was it was a good time. So, rest in peace, certainly, Michael Stanley. We will be missed. Enjoyed his music, and certainly his music will live on in this area. You can't go to an Indians game or a Cavs game without hearing My Town, to your point. Yeah. That's just like you say, it's an anthem, and it gets the crowd going, and singing about the pride of being from Cleveland and everything else. So, okay. Well, on a lighter note, and I'm not going to get too far into this with Dean being out, but the WandaVision series finale, not season finale, they called it the series finale, aired this past Friday. So to much acclaim, I didn't see a whole lot of negative commentary or reviews about that. So now we're not going to spoil anything here, but so we talked a little bit off camera, but what did you think? Was that one of the greatest things you saw on television, or what was your take?
I wouldn't go that far, but I did enjoy it. I thought it was good. And actually, I didn't realize until pretty recently that was the series finale. I didn't know that it was only ever planned to be this one season, and that was it. But no, I thought it was really good. I think as we see Disney dip their toes into the waters a little more of maybe doing this kind of thing with Marvel, and we've seen how intricate the web is weaved with all these Marvel movies and them tying in together. It's kind of interesting to see that they'll probably be doing that with television shows now as well, and how everything fits together. It's really, on one hand, when they first started doing all that and having all these different movies and they all tie together, and you kind of have to see them all, I was like, man, is that a good idea? Do you have to see all of them to understand each movie? And that's not necessarily the case. On the other hand, I think it's kind of really brilliant because they're basically luring you into watching all of the content. If you're going to be in on the Marvel stuff, like you're going to not necessarily need to see all of these things, but it's going to benefit you to watch the TV shows and watch the movies and all that stuff. So, but yeah, I thought it was really, really good, really well done. And so yeah, well, like I said, don't want to get too far into it without spoilers, without Dean being here. But yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, the the emotion, you felt her emotion. I mean, it was a very moving story, and I've been fortunate. I haven't, I've lost family members certainly, and just the grief that you feel. I thought they captured all that pretty well, and you can put yourself in her position too.
Yeah,
put yourself in her position that you would want so badly to have your loved one back. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, just very well written, and like you say, the model that they have is, just astounding. But they also are smart enough to cross the characters into other storylines and reference other things to try to pull you more into that entire universe, and you want to consume all of it. And it's exactly what they're doing with these movies. You could just watch one of the storylines if you felt like it, for some reason, and still be okay, But with how effectively they tie all this together, at least for me, I want to watch everything that they put out. Everything they put out there, I'm going to watch it. I'm anxious for the Falcon and Winter Soldier, which comes out I think next week, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we watched the trailer for that. It looks pretty good. Yeah.
And there's a ton they could do with that.
But see, even in that right there, what you just said, you're like, I want to watch everything they put out. I mean, typically, if you were to, starting at the beginning of all this Marvel content, if you were just going to be like, we're going to put out Falcon and Winter Soldier, how many people are going to jump at that? But now you're so familiarized with these characters and their backstories and all the ways that they tie into the Avengers and the different characters. I mean, now you want to watch a series about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's no big secret. I mean, Doctor Strange 2 comes out next year. We talked about this on one of the last episodes. I mean, it's the Doctor Strange and the multiverse or strange multiverse, something like that. So with the multiverse, you got a whole array of storylines that you could do now. I mean, you could do this as an alternate storyline. This isn't what really is in the main story. There's tons and tons of directions they can go. And they've got this What If animated series. It's going to be on Disney Plus as well. Are you familiar with that one?
No. Well, we were looking up the next the next phase, the next set of things that they were going to do, and we found What If.
Yeah.
So we dove into that a little bit more and was checking out what that was. So yeah, that seems pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's just a whole other. That's exactly what it is. It's a What If. So there's
were those comics? Were those?
Yes.
Okay.
It's been a series forever, so I got a bunch of these in the attic. But it's all kinds of interesting storylines, and anything they could think of. It's just like a one-shot story, So what if? So it's like a mythical, like a cosmic watcher guy, the Watcher, and he just looks at alternate timelines and all that, and then he tells you a story of, what would have happened if this happened. So like, if, for instance, one of the storylines of the What If coming up is, what if Agent Carter with Captain America and she got the super soldier serum versus Steve Rogers.
Oh, okay, cool.
So what happens there? I think there's another one. What if the Black Panther became Star-Lord, basically? So what if he was abducted? And these are all animated and stuff like that, so they could do anything they want. And then they have all the voices and stuff like that. So I'm anxious for all this stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome.
WandaVision, very, very good. So if you haven't watched it, definitely do so. When Dean gets back, we'll do more of a warning, a spoiler episode to get into more of the details and theories and what happened, didn't happen, and stuff like that. So,
and that probably works out well. It gives people more time to finish up the season if they're listening to this and want to do that before we talk at great length about it. So
yeah, absolutely. So anything else you want to mention about that or anything? Or?
No, just again, talking about all the Marvel stuff, it just like speaks to the brilliance of Stan Lee and like just to create all these different characters and all these different worlds, and it's just it really boggles my mind sometimes to think that the creativity and imagination that people have, and I think we all at some point have some more than others, but I mean it feels like it's got to be its own stroke of genius to kind of capture that childlike imagination and keep it throughout your life. To make that your life's work, and to do that through adulthood and into the later years of your life. It's just really incredible. So I was watching after I actually watched the last episode of WandaVision for the second time again today because I wanted to just see if there were some things I missed, or I just kind of wanted to watch that last one again. And then afterwards I started watching Captain Marvel, which I've seen part of, but never all the way through. So, they were showing the what I really thought was cool about Captain Marvel was the opening Marvel Studios things are all, I think that might have been the first film that was released after Stan Lee had passed away. And the opening Marvel Studios intro, where it usually shows Hulk and Black Panther and Black Widow and whatever, is all Stan Lee stuff. So it was really cool, very nice homage to him. But yeah, just brilliant. I mean, just everything that he created, and obviously the Marvel Studios and everything that they've done have done a great job of conveying that through these movies and TV series. So yeah, look forward to hashing out the WandaVision stuff more so on the next episode when we get together with Dean again.
That's good. I sent in our little Convincing Idiots text group that the three of us have, and when you have time, check it out. But BuzzFeed put out this list of, and there's other ones out there too, but the best 100 Easter eggs in the series. And this thing is very thorough, so kudos to, I didn't write down the author of the list, but very detailed. They show you the screenshots and everything like that. But the stuff that they referenced, we've talked about this on the prior episodes too, but the stuff that they referenced throughout the series to pay homage to the original comic series was pretty amazing. And the WandaVision was, there's a lot of basis on this comic series with stuff that happens, which again we'll get more into. But one thing they did, one of the license plates on one of the vehicles said along the bottom Excelsior, which was a famous Stan Lee phrase, and then the numbers they put his birth date as the license plate numbers and stuff like that. So
that's cool.
Little call outs for him.
Yeah,
so that's cool.
And we've discussed this before about Disney Plus, and whether it be Favreau doing The Mandalorian or whatever, but we've mentioned it before that that's the key. They obviously have fans doing this stuff. I mean, to put these kinds of things into the show, I mean, only maybe 10% of people that view it may ever catch on to it, but the ones that do, it means the world to them to know that these are in the hands of people that love this thing like they do,
Yes, thank goodness. And I'm so happy as a Marvel fan since I was a child, right? So many, many years, that all these characters are finally, again, back within the Marvel Studios. They're going to do it right. Some of the X-Men movies were actually pretty good. Yeah. Some of them are not so good. They do have a new mutant movie in development, The Mutants, which I'm very excited for. Not much about it other than the title so far. And they also have a Fantastic Four movie in development.
Another
one.
Because they've done. There was two of the original one, right, with Jessica Alba and stuff.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And then they did the one with Michael B. Jordan,
which had such terrible review. I still have not seen it.
I haven't either.
Yeah. And it's and the Spider-Man was the same way. So, Sony, listen, you don't need to go way off the original characters and storyline. It is not necessary. Matter of fact, you're going to turn off a lot of people. Stop all this nonsense. Get back to more of the storyline in the comics. We don't want any of that crap. Right. The actors it's not the actors' faults, right? So Andrew Garfield was a fine. I liked him as Peter Parker, for example.
Yeah, I did.
But the storyline was, to my opinion, crazy. Sony did not know where they were going. They were doing. Get all the characters now finally are back within the Marvel Studios. I'm very interested. I will go see the next Fantastic Four movie because they're going to do it correctly. Yeah. Whatever it is, it's going to be correct, right? So, good for them. So, the young boy in me is extremely happy that everything worked out this way. And to think about it, we'll get into more of this probably later too in another episode, but I was reflecting on how good the Marvel stuff is today and how far all that has come over the years. When I was a kid, we had in 1970s, right? We had Wonder Woman, which was not bad. Mm-hmm. The Hulk, which was okay.
These are all TV series, right?
They're all TV
Hulk,
series.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And they were okay. Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno were great. The storyline was whatever.
Was there a Spider-Man 70s TV show?
Now, there was, and it was so terrible. And he was always my favorite character growing up as a kid. Mm-hmm. It was so terrible. Even as a child, it made me angry as how bad it was. Okay.
How old is young child Brian here?
This is grade school. This is grade school.
So you're actually pissing off a grade school kid that's that much of a fan, and you're doing it that wrong.
Absolutely. And I had Spider-Man posters and comics, even as a child, all these years, and it was so poorly done. Now, again, limited effects and okay. If you could find those episodes, maybe we'll have a viewing or something. We'll have to find something. This is terrible. Then they also had a pretty awful Captain America TV series, like a special when he had a motorcycle and crap, and it was a motorcycle helmet. You can find pictures, a motorcycle helmet, and he had the wings like painted on the side.
Yes, I've seen pictures of that. Yep, I'm familiar with that. I doubt I've ever seen an episode or anything, but yeah, I'm familiar with that image.
Yeah, but so to think about that to where they came, where they are today is pretty extraordinary, from the effects to the writing to the acting and everything else. So great stuff. So WandaVision, watch it. Disney Plus is making a strong case for itself that if you don't have Disney Plus, and they haven't raised, maybe they'll raise the price eventually, but still right around $8 a month,
Yeah.
So
I do the bundle
content
with Hulu, and I was already paying like $11.99 for Hulu a month. And so for, I think, $13.99, you get Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus. So it's you're $2 more than I was already paying for everything else. So the only thing I did note, what they're doing now, and I don't know if there's how many times they've done it prior to this, that new Raya something, the dragon. There was a new movie that came out in theaters Friday. It was on Disney Plus, but only premium, and I think that version is $30 a month. Yeah. But it'll be, if you wait until June 4th, I believe it is, it'll be released on Disney. You'll just get it automatically. It'll be on the regular Disney Plus subscription. So, which, I can't even fault them for doing that. If they do that here and there with a new movie, so be it. I mean, the TV series are all there at the same time. And like you said, I mean, they've made a strong case to have it anyway. Honestly, if you have children or children in your life, a young niece or nephew that you spend time with or something, you should just have it. I mean, there's, between Star Wars and Marvel, and there's a bunch of great National Geographic shows on there as well.
Sure.
And different things like that I really like on there.
Yeah, the Jeff Goldblum show is fun.
Yeah,
stuff like that. So
really into, it was called One Strange Rock. It's hosted by Will Smith.
Yes.
And it just covers just everything under the sun about the planet and all these weird things. It's really interesting.
Yeah. Super good content there. Absolutely.
So this episode of Convincing Idiots is sponsored by Disney Plus.
Yeah, no kidding. Jeez, free sponsor.
Yeah.
If you are interested in us being a sponsor, then just email the show and we'll get back with you. Okay, so how about one more? Then we'll take a breath and come back for a couple more things. So another huge pop culture event was this past Sunday. The Oprah Winfrey interview with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle.
Yeah.
I don't know the ratings on it, but I certainly got a lot of attention. Certainly at the Royal Palace, definitely got attention. So, yeah, I know you'd mentioned you had looked into some of this. Some of the stuff was not very flattering for the Royal Palace. That's for sure. So
no.
Go ahead. You got a couple points?
Well, some bullet points. So I know some of the real headline grabbing things were, Meghan had felt so discriminated against that she was suicidal at one point.
Yeah.
Where she's just said she didn't know if it was worth living through and that she needed help, and there was a lot of questions apparently over their child's the tone of his skin, how dark he was going to be, and if he would have the same protection under the crown as all the other, as everyone else, and just insane. I mean, I hate to sound. I hope this is not doesn't come across too jaded, but it's one of those things to where it's shocking, but it's not.
Yep.
I mean that in the sense that you like to think that all society has progressed past this, point. But then you kind of, you wonder, I mean, there's a very traditional, very, family, the crown, it's just, I wonder if, I don't know, it's shocking to hear it said. You know what I mean? You would think that if you'd heard whispers of it, you might not be too surprised that maybe people think this way, It's unfortunate. You hate to think that anyone still does at this place in time. But it was pretty, I mean, the most shocking thing to me was the fact that they just came out with all that stuff and said it. I mean, that they were very candid, and that's very brave. You know what I mean? And hats off to that's Prince Harry, correct?
Yep, that's right.
Hats off to him for leaving the family and being with his family, taking the side of his wife and his child, and choosing to make that bold of a step. I mean, I think many people would probably agree that was the right stance to take. But still, I mean, that would take a lot of courage to be in that high profile of a situation and be so outspoken about it. I mean, but that's how you solve these things. That's how we move on as a society, is to expose these people that act this way and treat others this way. I mean, I think that was the right thing to do. But yeah, definitely. Like I said, the biggest thing for me was just how open they were about the whole thing. How'd you feel about it?
Yeah, I'm with you. I didn't watch it, but I read some of the highlights and everything. But yeah, you're right. That's definitely a decision in. They certainly are not going to be welcome back in the royal family, number one, and they may not be welcome in his home country again either. I'm sure there'll be some people that's celebrating. I'm sure there's people over there that feel that way too, like this is all crazy and this has to stop, and I don't get it anyways, and let's get rid of all this crazy stuff anyway. But certainly there's a lot of traditionalists that like, no, you can't do that. You can't insult the queen and the family and all this stuff. And so they definitely had to think through that, what they were going to say. But yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I admire it. They said, you know what, we don't like this. We're out of here. We're going to make our own way. Knowing that it's going to result in probably living financially comfortable through that system for the rest of their lives. They're just going to find their own way and make it happen.
Yeah.
And I mean, I admire that stuff. They said, to hell with everybody. We're in love.
Yep.
Screw you. We're going to go over here, raise a family. They didn't give baby Archie, the boy, any title. So you're right. He won't have any royal protection or any reward or anything that comes with that. I doubt that the baby girl that they're expecting, she won't either, certainly. So,
right.
But yeah, it's unfortunate, but like you say, very admirable. So,
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Could you imagine that being Oprah Winfrey though too, and all that? It's like the power that I wonder what she made from that interview.
Man, yeah.
Yeah.
There was a tweet that I read that was like, Oprah Winfrey woke up on board on a Sunday and was like, I guess I'll just go take down the monarchy today. Like, topple the crown.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and and she's not afraid to ask those questions either, for sure.
No.
You know what I'm saying? And she certainly did.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Can you imagine those kids though? Like already the story, the you know what I mean? I feel like in today's world, many of us have very boring stories. We just, you grow up and you know what I mean? As far as my grandparents, for example, I mean, my grandfather came from Germany and my grandmother was from North Carolina, and both had a rough upbringing and, got together. He moved here to a whole other country at 18. They made lives for themselves and, retired happily to Myrtle Beach. And they built a really incredible life for themselves from what they came from. And, I'm like, I don't have anything interesting like that. I mean, childhood was great. Had everything I needed. Much as the same as you. We were both only children. You know what I mean? Not only was everything great, but I would dare say I was probably pretty spoiled. I mean, I just don't have an interesting backstory. And these kids, Harry and Meghan's children, like, born into royalty, family literally left the crown and moved to California, and that's where my story starts, and who knows where it goes from there. Can you imagine just going to school, like middle school, high school, when you finally start to grasp some things that have happened in your life, to be like, yeah, no, I was literally like born into royalty.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's only a matter of time that you're right. You're going to look back one day and watch some type of a mini series about your parents' story. Guarantee that's bound to happen. The story. Yeah. They're going to have a book. They're going to make a movie or a mini series or something like that to tell their story of the whole thing. So it's coming. It's coming. Yeah. You're right. I don't think it's going to be any the Convincing Idiots story on Netflix, ladies and gentlemen. 3 ragtag guys from Kenmore, Barberton, area.
That's right. Yeah, a couple of mavericks Ohio. Just getting together, making it work.
That's right. That's right. Well, good for them. So glad they're trying to make something happen with their lives. So
yeah.
Okay, why don't we look at the time here? Why don't we take a breather?
Sure.
Give us the time to work in a spot on the podcast, and then we will come back and talk about a few more things.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
All right.
We will be back. We'll be back.
Ham gravy.
We are on in 5, 4, 3.
Welcome back to Convincing Idiots. Just again, 2 idiots today. Dean is recovering from getting a vaccine shot today, so he's a little under the weather, tired, so he's sleeping that off. And
now, is vaccine shot code for hungover, or
it could be?
Okay.
Yeah, it very well could be. Yeah, that's actually a good. That's actually, let's think about that. You have maybe 1 or 2 chances to call off of work and use that as an excuse.
Yeah,
right?
That's true. Yeah. I got my vaccine. Too many shots.
Yeah.
Of the vaccine, of course.
Yeah. March 18th. I got the vaccine on the 17th, and
I got the green vaccine.
Yeah, exactly. Are you doing anything for St. Patrick's Day? Or
I don't know. It was before I had kids. I don't know that I used to do the whole kegs and eggs things and all that stuff, and that would, make a day of it and go home and nap and then go back out again. They were good times. But yeah, since having kids, I don't really as much anymore, especially when it falls on a weekday. I don't. But, on the weekend, if it lines up to where it's a Saturday or something and we have a sitter, then, maybe we do something. But yeah, it's been pretty boring around the Schaefer household for St. Patty's Day since the turdlets arrived. Yeah.
That's fine. You'll do your cycle. You'll get back there someday if you feel like it.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to take maybe half a day off of work and maybe just hang with friends or something like that for part of the day. Not interested in big crowds and all that.
And you are of Irish descent, are you not?
I did learn that. Yeah, so I was adopted, and when I was an adult, this is just a few years ago, I learned that my biological mother was of part Irish descent. So my birth name was Hogan.
Okay.
Which is definitely an Irish name. So I took that and ran with it.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So all the more reason to celebrate.
Yeah.
Speaking of celebrations and recognizing special days, yesterday, Nick, there was a day of significance out there. You want to mention that?
Yes, it was International Women's Day on Monday, so very cool. Just want to give some shout-outs. I've been fortunate to have many important women in my life. Of course, obviously, my beautiful wife, Robin. She's inspires me every day. It's just all the day-to-day things that she does for not only our children, but myself. And She's just one of the strongest, most honest and caring people that I've ever had the pleasure of knowing. So I'm very grateful to call her mine, as well as my mother as well. Just one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. And that's not just me. That's people who have met her say the same thing. So my mother has been incredible. Just always very supportive, always very loving, and always thinking of me. Even to this day, she sends me, random text messages and things like that she sees that she knows that I like or whatever. Or, she'll ask me if I have hockey this night or if I'm doing, she just she always makes that effort to be very involved and has never not done that. So very fortunate to have her as a mother, as well as another special lady in my life, my grandma that I mentioned previously in the episode, my Oma. That's German for grandma. Been very close with her and my grandfather. They have done a lot for me throughout my life, and I'm very fortunate to have had grandparents like them in my life, and many others. I mean, many other women across the board, but that have been great family and friends and things like that. But yeah, it's nice. International Women's Day is a nice time to reflect on the people who have lifted us up and done so much for us. And Brian, who do you have? Who do you have in your life? Some special ladies.
Yeah, so certainly my mom as well. So I lost my dad. It's been like 8 years, and she's still living in the same house I grew up in, which is from here. Actually, I'm living in the house that she grew up in. Matter of fact, this office here was her old bedroom back in the day.
Is that right?
So yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So she was born in this house, actually. Was she born in this room? I don't even know. It's either this room or my bedroom now. Anyhow.
She was born in the house?
Mm-hmm.
A home birth. Oh, wow.
Yeah, absolutely. So, wow. But yeah, she's still a few blocks away and been on her own for several years and just still making it happen. And I'm very proud of her to, continue to keep up the house and to enjoy life on her own and everything and keep up with activities and stuff. And so as I mentioned just a few minutes ago, I was adopted. So back then, you could not adopt a child unless you had I don't know if it was a local thing or a state thing. I'm not exactly sure what the law was at the time, but one of the parents had to be home. Right. So she had to quit her job she had at the time and be a stay-at-home mom in order to, bring me into the house. So dad worked and mom was always home. And that was such a nice, for me, growing up experience in having mom around all the time, just from, just you could have lunch with mom and hang out with mom. And when you were sick, mom was always there, so that's such a nice memories growing up. And I'm glad she's still with me. And then as I mentioned, I got reacquainted with my biological mother who lives in Canton. And I had an experience a couple Mother's Days ago. I've had them both with me celebrating Mother's Day a couple of times over the years.
That's incredible.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they shared a story, and it was if you're adopted, I don't know many people ever have been able to sit in the same room with your biological mother and your adoptive mother. First of all, just in the same room to begin with. The fact that they get along, they exchange cards and stuff like that. And they shared a story of my biological mom was the angst of giving me up for adoption. She was a young girl and had to make a tough decision. My biological father was not going to be in the picture, and she wanted to give me a shot to have a family, with a father and a mother, or just two loving, house, what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And I certainly did. And I was able to experience that. I had a great childhood growing up to listen to her side of the story. And then meanwhile, on my mom, my adoptive mom is my mom, to hear her, just the angst of, first of all, they had a child that they were going to get potentially, and that didn't work out. And then I was there as an opportunity, and they weren't sure, and all this angst and all that. So to hear both sides of the excitement to get a baby to the angst of what it meant to give me up, talking at the same time, it was probably one of the most emotional things I can recall. So but the sacrifices that both these women had to make for me, to give me up, to try to, give me a better home, and then to have to quit a job and try to make it. And we did fine. I was an only child, and I had everything I could think I ever wanted as a kid. But, to live on a one income in order to have a kid was, pretty amazing. And I'll never not appreciate that. So those two, and then certainly, my lovely girlfriend, Allie, who is just so incredibly supportive, as all of our women are in this ridiculousness that we're doing with podcasting and having fun with this and trying to make something happen, and just so super supportive. It's so nice. It doesn't make me feel like this is a waste of time or anything like that. That's just supportive. I want to do it. She puts up with me sitting there doing this social media and the videos and all that stuff to make this work, and just a lovely, lovely soul. And then my daughter, Peyton, who's 20 years old now, and she made Dean's List in college 2 semesters in a row, doing really, really good, and just always been just a good kid. Just one of those kids that I know your kids are, if you have those kids sometimes that they just do all their stuff. They do all their homework. Right. You don't have to argue with them. Not every kid's like that.
Nope.
But she just knows what needs to be done. Always did that. Always got good grades. Never got in any trouble. Super sweet kid. Makes time to spend with her family. Just so love her to death. Very proud of her. And so definitely we are all blessed. And I know if Dean was here, he would say the same thing about his family and Megan and everybody. So we're all very, very lucky to have great women that we not only love, admire as humans in our lives. So thank you.
Yes.
All
cheers to you
there.
guys.
Thank you so much. All the moms and significant others and daughters and grandmothers and aunts and everybody that makes an impact in the lives of those around you that you love and love you. So
we're lucky to have you all.
Cheers. Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're not going to top that.
No.
So, well, speaking of love,
yes,
kind of not the best segue perhaps, but now you're familiar with of course, the Looney Tunes.
I am.
Nick?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
The character Pepe LePew, the skunk.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What are some things that when you think of Pepe LePew, that come to mind as far as that character?
So he has some questionable, let's say questionable tactics that he uses to, he seems to be a big fan of one specific cat. Obviously, that's kind of the thing about Pepe Le Pew. Obviously, the whole bit, I think part of it was that he's a skunk and that he stinks and he wants to be close to, the subject of his attraction. And I don't know if that was maybe meant to be the initial joke of the character. I would imagine.
I think it's the French thing too. I think it's the French thing. Because the French thing was, the French men had sort of that reputation of being the suave lover and this and that and the other, you know what I'm saying? So but sure, they took that to other levels with him. Right. And then clearly the the poor cat never, you could see it on her face. It was never invited affection or anything like that. So that would be my main takeaway from the character of Pepe Le Pew. And as you could imagine, I would think that could be that type of character portrayal could be a bit troublesome in today's time. Yes. Now it has become more troublesome. Now you're a big Space Jam fan, the original, if I recall, right? So with Michael Jordan, and the sequel is coming out soon with our own Akron's own LeBron James, right? Yep. So big news this week last couple of days, they have elected there was a scene apparently in Space Jam where LeBron James was basically teaching Pepe Le Pew a lesson. Like, you can't act this way. you can't touch people without their consent, something like that. To try to, bring that character probably into modern times in that respect, right?
Yeah.
But they elected just to cancel the scene, and they cut that out of the entire movie. And announcement was they are not planning to use that character in anything anytime soon. Now, I've not seen, HBO Max, the streaming service, has all the original Looney Tune, every Looney Tune ever made, all the off series, the original cartoons, and all that. I haven't seen that they're doing anything there. My
It's not going back and removing him from original Looney Tunes or anything like that.
No, I would guess that they'll probably put some type of message up there or something like that.
Like with the Muppets that they did?
Yeah, they haven't said that yet, but they don't plan to use him in the future, anytime soon. So,
yeah.
And then they also redid Lola Bunny. Now, if you saw the original, it was a little strange even then, because you had a pretty shapely cartoon rabbit.
Very shapely, very curvy, the hips, she was... Yeah.
Yeah. Now, did she give you weird feelings back then as a kid, by the way?
Did.
Lola?
She did.
Yeah.
I think, honestly, I blame Lola Bunny for all the Snapchat filters and why they're so popular with the noses and the ears. I think that's why we have this thing with girls with little bunny noses and
Could be.
cat ears and faces and things like that. But yeah, definitely as a young kid, Lola Bunny was very attractive. And as I made it known in our Crushes episode, I'm no stranger to being attracted to cartoons, whether it be Jessica Rabbit or Lola Bunny. But Lola was she was very she's a tomboy, and she was she was like the best Looney Tunes basketball player, the best non-Michael Jordan basketball player they had. They brought her in, and she kicked ass. Like, she was very skilled, and but she that kind of tomboy, that kick-ass, she's the kind of character, that strong female character, kind of take care of herself, and in a what is typically considered a male-dominated sport. You have her come in, and she's better than all of them, and she knows it, and she had a lot of swagger to her and stuff like that. So I think very admirable character in general. So now the new image of Lola is a little. There's no short shorts, right there. Now, so what else the modifications were there? I saw the main thing I noticed was like the uniform fit more or less a traditional, uniform would fit. They weren't, complimenting. They were not basically making her hips and things more noticeable with the short shorts. She had regular, baggy basketball jersey on and shorts and stuff like that. So, which is probably, that's the right thing to do. You don't want to. I don't think in today's age. Both of these kind of subjects, I think, kind of go hand in hand in some respects, as far as just kind of acknowledging some things that maybe we as a society subconsciously have done, as far as trying to sexualize the female character and things like that, to where, no, she's on the basketball team, she plays basketball, she dresses like a basketball player.
We're not a political show. We can get into that, but that's not our thing on this in this forum. We'll talk about that offline more. But anyhow, some people are certainly saying it's old cancel culture. What are you doing, taking Pepe Le Pew out of here? You guys are out of your minds. Why are you changing? That's even more bewildering to me. Is like people that are, if you're that upset that they're changing a cartoon bunny to make her more kid friendly, I guess, if you will, and more not as sexualizing a cartoon rabbit, you got to really, you got to rethink what's going on in your life.
Right.
Maybe you got to
go be aroused by a children's movie that bad. Is that really that important to you? I don't.
Yeah. I want you to put your energy into trying to find a real woman, not unlike some of the lovely women we just talked about in our lives here. Give yourself some real happiness, and you're so upset about the cartoon rabbit. But I don't even know it's about that in so much as probably a lot of people are just upset they're just changing something. They're changing something what it was because all these people are so sensitive anymore, blah, 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 blah. What do you think? You mentioned part of it already. So you mentioned about Lola Bunny. Yeah. Don't sexualize the bunny. I want to take my kids to go see the movie. I got young boys. I don't need them focusing on a cartoon shapely rabbit. I want them to see a female basketball player who's good. That's what you want to show your young sons, and that's the message. I agree with that. Now, what do you think about the Pepe Le Pew? Is it crazy? Is it, they should do something? Should they modify it somehow? Should they have kept that scene in there that he gets his comeuppance and he mellows out and does something different? What do you think about all that?
So I think I can see both sides of this. My initial reaction was I like the idea that they were planning on, they were going to have a moment with, LeBron was going to basically sit down with Pepe and explain, and in a way that conveys to children that are watching this that this is not acceptable behavior for a boy or a skunk or anyone to act to, so I like that. And I think, so my initial thought was, you take that moment, you aren't pulling the character from anything, but maybe it's just his ignorance is his shortcoming here, and he can be, modified to understand the error in his ways. And there's another part of my brain that kind of went, but do you want to give off the message that you're given a pass to that? Not a pass. Yes, you're trying to rehabilitate them and make them change their ways, but there's also a little part of my brain that's like, do we want to be like, oh, it's fine as long as you just don't do it anymore? You know what I mean? I think ultimately, there's maybe that was the fear, was the fact that people would see them not remove the character and be like, oh, so instead of just taking that character away that acts this way, maybe we just have a moment where we sit down and talk to him and everything's fine again. That it's conveying the message that you can do something awful, but as long as someone has a talk with you and you can be changed, then we forget about it. And that's not necessarily, obviously when people act in a manner that is not acceptable, you want to give someone the opportunity to learn and better themselves. Yes, but I don't know. Yeah, my initial reaction to it was kind of that I didn't mind the idea of having that moment, because maybe, there's sometimes people act in a way that they don't understand why they act that way. So maybe that's not bad to have a moment with LeBron in the movie where he's talking to Pepe Le Pew and explaining why this is not good and how this makes people feel. And this is what, to lay it out like that. I mean, I don't really think that would have been such a bad idea. I think that could have actually gone well if handled the right way,
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, first of all, the original cartoons were made in the 40s. Mm-hmm. Okay, sometimes people forget that. Not saying you do, but sometimes people forget that. And there's other things in those cartoons and some of those old shows in general. It's like it's not going to fly today. There's definitely things in. I mean, you name it. Some of those old cartoons, Flintstones, Jetsons. There's a couple of things here and there. It's like, Yeah. They kind of make fun of women a little bit and women's place. They're all at home, and there's all kinds of stuff you could talk about. It was just a different time. That's the thing. It was a different time. Now, having said all that, as a kid, even I grew up with Looney Tunes. I mean, they were just super prevalent when I was growing up. It was Saturday mornings. They were on reruns every afternoon on Channel 43 in Cleveland, and I watched these things for years and years and years and years. Even then, as a kid, I do remember thinking, that is a weird kind of character, that Pepe Le Pew character. Because clearly, now it was a combination of his advances and the fact that he was a skunk and he stunk. Right. That the cat, everybody wanted to get away from him. So it wasn't all, but still, it was not the clearest. So I don't know. I'm with you. I think it would have been, if you want to take this character into the current times, have that moment with him. So what? Do it right, like you say. You could have taught some kids some lessons. And maybe you saw some of these cartoons elsewhere as a kid. They're still accessible, these cartoons.
Right.
Do that. Let them learn a lesson. You could change that character around, which I'm sure was the thought process originally. You could use that character and that asset for the Warner Brothers, and do something different with him. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he becomes more of an advocate of, who knows? But too late. Maybe they still come back. Maybe they're going to rethink it and come back later. I don't know. Yeah. It's kind of late now. They've already canceled it out and decided that we're just going to move on and he just sort of doesn't exist. I don't think that's the right thing to do in that respect.
So. Yeah, sometimes I think but almost now that we've talked about it a little more, I'm like thinking they just take the easy way out. Like, let's just not deal with it at all. Let's just so we don't offend this group or we don't offend that group. Let's just take him out so we don't even have to deal with it. Well, sometimes the hard thing is the right thing to do. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that being said, they probably thought, obviously you're not going to like remove someone like Bugs Bunny or, but it's not like you're taking out Taz or Daffy Duck. I mean, Pepe Le Pew's a different rung of character. So maybe they just thought, is anybody going to really notice if he's not in it from the last, is there going to be a cry for where's Pepe Le Pew in the Space Jam movie?
I bet the Pepe Le Pew merchandise out there. I'm not even kidding. I'll bet that's making some money right now. I considered for 2 seconds buying a Pepe Le Pew shirt, and I thought to myself, why am I fighting for Pepe Le Pew? Because it's not really sending the right message. So I refrained from all of that stuff. But I guarantee it. Guarantee it. So.
It is weird watching some older things though, eh? Like when you see you notice, like you said, even as a kid, you always kind of picked up on something weird. So we've talked at great length about Disney Plus. Well, a couple weeks ago, maybe within the last month or so, they put on Disney Plus a show from the 90s called Dinosaurs. Are you familiar with Dinosaurs?
I remember that show.
The baby dinosaur, not the mama. He'd always hit his dad on the head with the frying pan and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, a very visually cool show. I mean, it's just everybody in giant dinosaur costumes and stuff, and it was a sitcom, sort of a modern take on a dinosaur family living back then, but they had all these modern amenities. They had refrigerators and they lived in a home and all that stuff. So I'm showing it to my kids, and we're watching. I said, we're gonna watch this because this is something that I loved this show when I was your age, and we're gonna sit down and watch it. And I'm watching it, I'm like, my God, like the amount of like male chauvinism is just off the charts. I mean, the dad, like, all he wants to do is, like, come home from work and be left alone. And, the pilot episode is that they already have 2 teenage children. And she, Fran, lays an egg. They have an egg. And he's like, that better be breakfast, because that can't be another kid. So the pilot episode is the little baby, Junior, being born or, hatching or them figuring out how they're going to do this. But every episode after episode is just that, like, he's upset that there's not dinner ready. And, I mean, he just treats her like garbage. It's just like, I'm like, I mean, this is the 90s. I mean, I guess I get that they were probably going for maybe your more...
like a honeymooners type thing or something.
Yeah, like an Archie Bunker thing or whatever. I don't know, that he was just this kind of crotchety guy. He just wanted to work, come home, be left alone. And, his kids and his wife are always wanting him to buy them things for his money that he worked so hard for, and she's supposed to have dinner ready, and it's just, I don't know, it's just just for even from that amount of time ago, the fact that would have been put on air in the 90s and that no one really, there was no outcry over it. And you can talk all you want about if we're too sensitive now or whatever, and that may be. I think both can be true. I think things can exist in both ways, to where, have we become more sensitive to certain things? Yes, but maybe it's because we've listened to people that have had issues with these things. And, are there some things that maybe go too far sometimes? Yeah, probably. But I think it comes from a place to where we're trying to be more understanding. But I don't know. There's good and bad to all that stuff. But yeah, it's like you said, you don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole on that. But yeah, it's just to see certain things that you maybe used to enjoy as a child, or shows that you'd seen in the past, and I never picked up on that stuff before. Never. When I was watching it as a kid, or
sure.
I feel like in years past I've even dug up that show on YouTube just to see an episode or whatever, and maybe 15 years ago I wouldn't have even noticed anything, but now I'm like, oh my God, like they said this or they acted that way. I mean, it's crazy.
Are they rebooting it? Did they hear that?
Dinosaurs?
Right? I thought, maybe I'm wrong.
But it might be.
But the point is, you're right. It's there, and not unlike the Muppets. Like, it's just this. It's out there. Put it out there. If you want to have a message in front of it, that's fine. But it allows you to, like we talked about with the Muppets, you can have a conversation.
Yeah.
You can have a conversation with your kids if they watch it, and explain the differences and all that. And I don't know. You can't ignore it. Don't get rid of it entirely.
Right.
Let people assess make their decision, and I don't know. So, but too late for Pepe LePew, unfortunately.
Yeah,
too late.
Yeah.
Hopefully he learns his lesson.
I think in the first Space Jam movie against the Monstars, I think he only had like 6 or 8 points. So I don't think he really contributed that much in the first game. I don't think he'll be missed on the court. So I don't really think it's going to hurt the Toon Squad in this game. So we'll do actually closer to the that's a good idea for an episode. When that Space Jam movie comes out, we should do a post-game analysis of the actual game of Space Jam.
There you go.
Let's
see here. Again, this is just a headline I saw today. I'm a big fan of the Evil Dead movies. Evil Dead 4 will start filming this year with Bruce Campbell as producing that. So I'm very anxious for that when that comes out. We'll talk more about that as that draws nearer. This kind of a nice story I saw. This kid, the TikTok star, LaRon Hines. He started, his parents run a daycare center, just a teenage kid. I guess he does some modeling and stuff like that on the side, but he started to film these kids in the daycare, him asking questions. They started to make little videos, started to put them up on TikTok, and it became quite the sensation. So if you watch, if you're on TikTok and you scroll through, you may have seen some of his videos. He'll like ask little kids, "Hey, are you smart?" And the little kid says, "Yeah." And he'll ask some question that the kid, obviously has no idea of what he's asking, and the kid just confidently will give some, very funny answer and all that. So very, very cute, very nice. Nice to see him interact with these young kids. And he was invited to the Golden Globes last week with by Tina Fey and Amy Poehler. So,
cool.
Nice to see a young kid get some recognition, doing something fun. And
LaRon Hines, is that what you said?
LaRon Hines.
LaRon Hines, okay.
LaRon Hines, and actually there's a picture of him, I think, at the event, and he had some of these kids, the preschoolers, were with him at the event. And that was pretty sweet to see.
Oh, cool.
So that was a nice one. And then, sort of the pop culture-y, I guess, new NASA program, the Artemis. And Artemis, I did not know until I looked it up. I guess he's a god of, I think, exploring or something like that. So anyway, so NASA is going to land the first woman and next man, I should say, on the moon by 2024. Okay. And they're going to use innovative technologies to explore more of the lunar surface than ever before. And they want to apparently use this technology for the next step in planning a astronaut landing on Mars. So we already have the rover on Mars exploring to see if there's any signs of past life.
Right.
And who knows what that will find. But seems to be, Nick, we're maybe, which is crazy to even think about, and we joked about it before, but are we edging closer to potentially trying to either put a space station on Mars or colonize Mars or something like that. So, very interesting. But yeah, speaking of International Women's Day, very cool to see the first woman. I don't think they've announced it yet. I think they're kind of figuring all that who's going to go. I think we'll certainly talk more about it as it goes. But very cool, very very cool. Yeah, the first woman will set foot on the moon within just a couple short years.
Wow.
Sorry about that.
Where'd you go?
I disappeared for a second, so.
The Vanishing Brian.
That's right.
Well, to piggyback on that, and as it was some more of our International Women's Day topics, a couple things I wanted to throw out. I think I'd mentioned before, I was really enjoying watching the NWHL, which is, I'm a big hockey fan, which I've mentioned, but the NWHL is the National Women's Hockey League. They were doing their Isabel Cup. They did a bubble in Lake Placid, New York, and they were going to do a bubble and do their playoffs and award their championship. Well, right before they got to the playoff rounds, the ones that were going to be televised on NBC Sports, they had an outbreak of COVID. And so they had to, they said at the time, suspend it, but everybody left the bubble, all that stuff. It kind of seemed like it wasn't coming back. Well, on Monday, and very fittingly on International Women's Day, they announced that they were going to be finishing their playoffs So I believe it will be it's March, I want to say 27th and 28th perhaps. Okay. And those will be televised as well. So finally, for the first time ever, professional women's hockey will be televised. So that's pretty special for them. Also, as a Toronto everything fan, and in basketball, a Toronto Raptors fan, the Raptors announced that they are going to be holding, at the end of this month, an all-female broadcast. It's the first time it's ever been done in professional sports. And they are, for everyone, with the color commentators, everything, everybody, the whole entire television broadcast coverage will be done entirely female. So that's pretty cool. Good on them for pulling that off. I think that'll be fun.
Very interesting. Excellent. Yeah. Cool. So, yeah, I saw a story this week too. I think it was I didn't write her name down, the first African American woman NFL referee was hired. So she would make an appearance. So we had the first female in the Super Bowl officiating.
Right. Was she a referee throughout this past NFL season?
I am not certain of that, but I think she's new to the NFL. At least this African American lady is going to start next season. So, yeah, very cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
We're evolving, man.
Yeah.
I don't know if we are necessarily, but the society is, at least around us.
Maybe not us, but we, the royal we, are evolving. Speaking of football, though, did I see? Was there something about Dak Prescott? Was there a contract?
Now, you grew up a Dallas fan. I know you're not as a huge NFL fan as you might have been years ago. I've been a Dallas fan since I was a young kid in fourth grade, so many, many years ago. This is like 1980, I want to say, something like that. So Roger Staubach was just going out, and Danny White was coming in for Dallas. So it's been many, many years. A lot of heartache with that team, except for the 90s, as you know. So
yeah, that's where I came in at. It was all gravy all the time. It was fantastic.
That was a good time to start.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so there's been a lot of contract. It's been every other sports story has been about Dak Prescott, the Dallas Cowboys, the starting quarterback. Is he going to sign? Is he not going to sign? He wanted 5 years. Now, he broke his ankle pretty severely this past season, and he's been on rehab. But even then, they were in contract negotiations prior to last season. They put a franchise tag on him, and back and forth. And then there was rumors that maybe he would be traded and all this stuff. And he wanted a 4-year contract. Dallas wanted 5-year. Finally, all came to a head yesterday. He signed a 4-year contract for $160 million. I do not know how much of that is guaranteed. Obviously, it's a lot, and I think he's like 1/3 or 1/4 of the team cap space, so hopefully they can still retain guys around. So, a huge contract. You're still a Cowboys fan. I don't know if you know a whole lot about it, but what are your thoughts? Anything at all, or not really into it? Don't even really care.
Well, no, I was gonna. From my understanding, like I guess I don't watch them as religiously as I used to. It's obviously a very skilled quarterback.
Sure.
The story of the Cowboys in recent history is they don't do anything. Even if they do happen to squeak into the playoffs, nothing happens. They typically don't even win or advance the next round. So I was actually going to ask you. You had mentioned how much of their team cap space that is. Is this a good deal for the Cowboys or no? Obviously, you want the talent of Dak Prescott on your team, but at that price tag, is that good, or is that going to handcuff them?
Well, you hope not. I mean, it's been 25 years since Dallas was in the NFC Championship game. 25 years. So, and that was the Super Bowl that they won against the Steelers in 96. Okay. So, when Prescott got hurt, they could not do anything on offense. They tried a couple of different quarterbacks. They brought in
Andy Dalton was the next
Andy
one,
Dalton, right, from Cincinnati. He looked good for 2 seconds, and then he got hurt, and he never. Anyway, they needed. When Dak Prescott was there, at least they had a shot to win games. Now, some people say, well, gee, Dak Prescott's numbers were so great, but he was also playing from behind because their defense was so terrible. He had to throw his ass off to even have a shot to win the games, but he single-handedly kept them in games because of his skill. So without him, probably safe to say they would probably be without trading for somebody established like Deshaun Watson or Russell Wilson or somebody. They would probably be down and out for several more years. And then so Jerry Jones must feel, look, I got Zeke Elliott, the running back, signed. I got Cooper. I got a good offense. I got good offense. Fix the defense a little bit. My window with this group with Prescott is not very long, so he's probably rolling the dice and saying, just pay the man. He's one of the better quarterbacks in the game. We'll see what happens. So I don't know. I mean, like I said, unless you were going to bring in somebody established, which wasn't looking like it may have been the case, you're really kind of rolling the dice there that you can get somebody established and land somebody in a trade and tell him to, hang out and franchise tag him another season. So
yeah,
we'll see. I mean, am I overly excited as a Cowboys fan? I do like Dak Prescott. He's talented. Is he this era's Tony Romo? Not sure. Kind of remains to be seen, but he's the best option I think that they had right now that was available next to drafting somebody, and who knows what you get there. So,
but then you run the risk of without, it's a tough situation because if you obviously would rather have that talent on your team, but if you give him all that money, then you run the risk of handicapping yourself from bringing any. So you're basically running the same team out there virtually.
Yep.
And probably running into the same result. So it's kind of that's tricky.
Yeah, we'll say. And one thing I'll say with him is he did not run around and he was smart. Whether he just did it on his own or he had good people around him or a combination of that, he was smart. He never said anything bad about the Cowboys. Never said he didn't want to be there. Never said anything bad about Jerry Jones, the owner. They left him off a hype video for the new season, which was crazy. And
I'd heard that
got pressed. They asked him about it. He didn't say anything bad about it. He kept his mouth shut. I guarantee, I'm sure, that was a factor in him still being able to land this deal because he was not running around and speaking negatively about the franchise. So he was smart in that respect in his negotiations at the very least. So kudos to him, and on the other side of it, if somebody offered, any one of us $160 million for 4 years, we would take it. We would not turn down the money, and say that it's
I don't care how
disrespected
I feel. No.
That's right. That's right. So, maybe we'll get there someday. If you out there will stop being such lazy asses, please just click the subscribe button. Will you?
That's right. That's right.
I mean, come on. Will you?
Do it for all your family members. Do it for the dog. Come on. Do it for everybody.
Yeah. We have all these women around in our lives that we care about. We gotta do something here to, show them that this is doing something for us. Anyways,
subscribe them. Do them a favor. Look out for them for a change.
Don't do it for us. Do it for these poor women around us. That's that's very incredibly patient and loving and caring. So
yes.
But anyways, we'll see what happens with Dak Prescott. I overall think it's fine. So Yep. All right. Anything else, Nick? Any other topics? Anything that caught your eye this week? Fairly. I mean, obviously, you got the whole. You could talk all day about the. Obviously, Dean got his vaccine because of the line of work that he's in, and that's going to continue to roll out. I got to note that my mom got a shot today. Actually, that was her that called, by the way, when the screen was kind of funny.
Oh, okay. Oh, you silenced your mom again?
We're talking.
We love it. Happy International Women's Day. Thank you to everyone. Funny. And I'm just gonna silence that. She won't leave me alone.
I just declined my mom on this very show. Isn't that so funny? I will call her back after we're done.
Well,
which I know we're almost done.
Make sure you paint it that it happened at the time when you were actually giving her praise on the podcast. It was actually giving you a glowing review when you happened to call. So I really felt like I should definitely finish paying the tribute before I paid any attention to you physically that way. That's
God. And that's why she's calling me, because she got her vaccine today, and I've been meaning to catch up with her today. I haven't yet, so it's terrible. So I will talk with her when we're done. Anyway, I got to notice that the 50 and up will start in March 11th, which is Now, some people are talking about this now too, because it's like, wait a minute, it's the state of Ohio, of course. We can't. There's people in the current age groups eligible that still
haven't
gotten the vaccine. Now you're going to clog up the system further and throw younger people in there. I mean, for me, I can wait a little bit longer. Let's let more of our elderly get their shots. I don't know. They must be tracking something or looking something beyond what I'm thinking about, but I don't know. It seems like they should allow more of our elderly to get their shots first, then, but they're in this, I think we're going to start to see this probably more so. It's just Russian, get more people vaccinated in general, at least have the opportunity to do so, because we want to reopen and get more businesses open and all this, that, and the other. So I don't know. I think it seems a little fast in Ohio, at least.
It's probably like there was a plan in theory. If you're doing something around your house, right, and you're like, you wake up, you're like, okay, today I'm going to do, I got to get dishes, laundry, and pay some bills, right? And then in between, when you start the dishes, then something happens over here, or somebody needs this, or you get a call, or something. You got to silence your mom, or something that.
Yep.
You have a plan until shit gets crazy, and it just becomes like, okay, well now just let's just do things as I can, whatever I'm and you half the time forget to do things that you set out to do in the first place. That's probably just so overwhelming that they're like, I mean, I don't know, neither one of us can sit here and pretend to understand what the scale of planning that it would require to get these out, but you're right, it does seem a little bit. Yeah, it's like, well, shouldn't we make sure we get all of one, the most at-risk people out of the way first?
Right.
Then we move on to the next phase. But yeah, I can only imagine what planning something like that would be, and trying to get everybody taken care of. Because not only are you trying to get it done, but just as quickly as possible. You figure the bigger net you can cast and get as many people vaccinated as possible.
Right.
The safer the people that haven't even had it yet will be because of everyone else. What a mess.
I'll get it. At least iron out where. I mean, you're letting more of the local pharmacies and stuff do it, but they either don't have it or they don't have enough resources to keep up. So I think it's a struggle they just don't. I don't know. Their appointments fill up so quick. Anyways, we'll see. I mean, will I get it when I'm able to? Sure. But I'm not going to shove my mom out of the way, for instance, to get it either. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. So you
only shove her aside for this podcast, and
that's right. It's for you fans out there. That's right. I will call my mother as soon as we're done here in a few minutes. Trust me there. But anyway. All right. Anything else you had, Nick? Any other topics? Anything?
No, I don't think so. It's I've been pretty uneventful on this end. So
okay.
Yeah.
Well, good. So now we've done variations of this podcast, but certainly with the three of us, Dean and I. Now you and I.
Right.
At some point, maybe it's just you two, and then we would have had every combination of the idiots interacting with one another.
I can only imagine what a show without your structure would do. I don't even know what that would even look like.
It would probably just be 30 minutes of fart jokes or something like that.
Yeah, right.
Something along that line.
A lot of dick references and
that's
Dean
it.
Bringing the titty meat and the Passion of the Christ things, and there'd be a lot of that.
That's right. That's right. We almost made it through one episode without either one of those references. Almost.
Yeah, almost. We couldn't let it slip all the way by. I mean, it wasn't done cleverly. I didn't pay true homage. At least they were thrown out. Yes.
That's right. Yes. So, every episode, something is. Yep. That's right. Yep. And we might as well mention ham gravy.
Ham gravy.
Yeah, ham gravy. Yep. Why absolutely. Not? Ham fucking gravy.
That's right. That's right. Dean's mom made the best. So
yeah.
All right. So we don't know yet what the next episode is going to be. We'll talk about that offline. Whether we do a bracket or we'll figure that out. We'll announce that out there soon. Do you mind reminding the fans, Nick, where we can be found out there, sir?
Absolutely. We can be found on Facebook and YouTube by searching Convincing Idiots. We're on Instagram at convincing_idiots. We are on Twitter at Convincing Idiot, singular with no S. TikTok at Convincing Idiots, or we can be reached via email at convincingidiots@gmail.com if you'd like to let us know some things you'd like us to talk about, or some notes that you may have for us, or anything like that, we'd love to hear it. Also, as always, you can ask your home assistant device to play the Convincing Idiots podcast, and hopefully they'll do just that. So, for this week's edition of Convincing Idiots, I'm Nick.
I'm Brian.
There is no Dean, but have we convinced you to listen to the three of us next week?